Good day and welcome to Transformation Tuesday, our first Tuesday of the month of May. Do you sometimes feel like you are the most critical, the hardest on yourself on a regular basis? Perhaps at your job or with your family, or even when you look in the mirror? If that's you, then welcome to Transformation Tuesday with me, Liz Forrest. Please say hello in the comments if you're with me here live. I'd love to know who's joining me. And if you're watching the replay, please type replay in the comments. I also love to know who's joining me later watching replays. Thanks for being here. I am Liz Forrest. I'm a master shamanic teacher of over 25 years. I've been sharing Toltec wisdom, practices, tools, empowering people to embrace a vibrant, fulfilling life. And I've learned these practices and tools over time from a few different people that I appreciate so much that came into my life when they did. And one is Don Miguel Ruiz, Sr., the author of the Four Agreements, who I bet everybody knows by now. And Bernadette Vigil, who is the author of The Mastery of Awareness. And I spend time in Mexico a couple of times a year with my mentor, who is Don Valentin Cervantes. He's an indigenous Toltec healer who's been teaching me the traditions and the culture of the Toltecs in his home, which is at the pyramids of Teotihuacan, Mexico. In this episode, excuse me, of Transformation Tuesday, I'm going to get into the third of the 11 spiritual practices for personal growth. I consider these practices really to be like lighthouses for us, beacons of truth when we need them the most. When we integrate them into our day-to-day, they clear the confusion and they guide us to right action for ourselves and the others in our lives. So I pass that on to you. They're like little lighthouses out there. I know in my own confusion, and sometimes when I don't know what to do, what's the right thing to do, then I go over these practices for myself and remind myself of how to walk the path of right action and integrity. So first, I'd like to go over the first two practices that I taught in the last couple of weeks in my Transformation Tuesday. I'm going to go over them just briefly to keep them fresh in your mind. And also, it helps us build a new foundation, right, for personal growth. So, and if you missed them, they're here in Loving Transformation for you to watch the replay if you like. They're also on my business page, Toltec Teachings with Liz Forrest, and on my YouTube channel, which is just Liz Forrest. You can find me under my name. Okay, so let's talk about the first one. Does anybody recall what that first one was? If so, put it in the comments. The first practice is awareness. Awareness. Because that's where we start, right? We start with elevating our awareness, deepening your awareness of how you see yourself, how you feel about yourself, think about yourself, speak about yourself, how you treat yourself. And I also passed on a practice of focusing on your breathing. Breathing in and breathing out to bring you back to your presence, your center, whenever you're feeling distracted, so that you can align with your true self moment by moment. So that was the first one, awareness. And does anybody remember the second practice? If so, put it in the comments. The second practice is discipline. Discipline. Okay, and we talked about that the old programming, the old domestication about what discipline is, that I grew up with was if you were being disciplined, you were being punished for something. So that's not what I'm talking about here. Discipline in these practices equates action, you taking action. Discipline is the action that supports the changes you want to make in your life for your highest good, to step out of the unhappiness or unfulfillment that you're suffering, the changes that you want to make, because we all know we can talk about making changes until we're little old people, but until we take an action, nothing changes. So when you work with discipline, it elevates your self-respect so that you follow through with the action you've decided to take, to keep your word with yourself, keeping impeccable with your word. Impeccable with your own word to yourself. And remember that as conscious people, which we all are, we're in our growth for the long term, right? We don't bail on ourselves when it gets difficult or gets a little challenging. We hold our long-term vision and support ourselves with what we need to keep manifesting that vision. We keep going forward. And that's the energy of discipline. Keep going forward. Keep going forward, manifesting what it is that you are desiring in your life. Okay, so now that you're refreshed with the first two spiritual practices for personal growth, let's move into the third. The third one, and this gets a big card because this is a big one. I hope you can see it. Self-judgment. Yeah, self-judgment. Are you all familiar with that one? I know it's a big one. And perhaps it's a big old habitual response that you have to your own precious self. Self-judgment means that you're criticizing yourself. You are berating yourself. You are taking yourself down with unkind self-talk or even downright mean talk to or about yourself. It can be self-talk, it can be that running dialogue, and it can also be out loud. I know I've heard people chastise themselves out loud. Yeah, for sure. So can you relate to self-judgment? If that's true for you, you can type judge in the comments. So let's break this down a little bit more. How often have you criticized, let's start with physical. How often have you criticized your physical body in your adult life, do you think? Compared your body to someone else's. Said to yourself, ooh, I hate that I'm so fat. I hate that I'm so skinny. I hate my big butt. Something critical about your body. How many times do you think in your adult life? A few thousand maybe? Probably. I'll go out on a limb and say probably. I know it was certainly true for me until I became aware of the damage I was causing myself. Another little awakening. Thank goodness. So here's the thing, we're talking about personal growth, we're claiming our self-worth, we are stepping into our empowerment, we're manifesting our true purpose. We're what I call taking our position in our life. So judging yourself with thoughts, words, or action is a huge depletion of your own energy that you are gathering and working with to fulfill what it is that you are desiring in your life. It's like repelling all of your life force away from you instead of directing it to you. So just take a moment, let's do a little exercise. Take a moment to recall the last time somebody threw a verbal judgment at you. It might be recently, might be more in your past, maybe a teacher in school, a parent, relation, boss, ex-lover. And just take a moment to close your eyes and bring up how you responded emotionally. Whether you said it out loud or not, how did you feel inside when that judgment came towards you? Did you feel sad? Did you feel hurt? Did you feel rejected? What did you feel in that moment? Did you feel loved and valued in that moment of judgment from someone else? I suspect not. So when you're judging yourself, you're giving yourself that very same experience of sadness, of hurt, of rejection, of depleting your own worthiness. No one else is doing it for you. You're doing it for yourself. Judging yourself is the biggest depletion of your own energy. Yeah, it's the biggest depletion. It is destructive to our self-respect, to our self-love, to our empowerment. to how we hold ourselves and take care of ourselves and think about ourselves. So I want you to write down a sentence in your journal on a piece of paper, either now or later. But please, please take this action. Work with a little discipline to refrain from self-judgment in big letters. Put it in your journal. I suggest putting it up around your house on stickies, on your steering wheel, on your fridge, on your bathroom mirror. Refrain from self-judgment. And that will remind you that if you fall into that habitual way of giving yourself a hard time about something, that you can shift it. And there's a way to shift it that's really simple. And I've taught this in other classes. And it's really effective. So to become aware, okay, working with the first spiritual practice, becoming aware of all the times in your day that you do the opposite of nurturing and nourishing your self-worth, your self-love, with judgment, this practice, I'm going to encourage you to work with becoming aware of all the times that you judge yourself, starting from the moment that you open your eyes until you close them at night. As soon as you hear your self-talk begin with the judge judging you for how you look or what you said or what you did or what you didn't do, all the things, the comparisons you make about other people doing or looking or being better than you, that's a big one too. I want you to stop. Just as soon as you're aware, stop. And instead, put your hand on your heart chakra and say, I am worthy exactly as I am. I am worthy exactly as I am. And I suggest you say it out loud. Hand on your heart chakra, which is between your breasts. I am worthy exactly as I am. Because, my friends, it's time to forgive yourself. Forgive yourself for all the ways you feel you've failed or you've not met your standards or someone else's standards or expectations, all that you deem were wrongdoings. Forgive. Work towards forgiveness. I know it's not an overnight quick fix situation to work with forgiving ourselves, but the practices I'm teaching you here will really help strengthen a foundation of forgiveness. Forgiveness for yourself, because today is a new day. This is a new day, a new beginning. And when you start to implement this practice of refraining from your self-judgment, you start to hold a higher, let's say, like for yourself, and then move into a higher love for yourself. And so refraining from self-judgment, it doesn't deplete your energy. In fact, when you refrain, I am worthy exactly as I am. That builds your energetic foundation, it builds your self-love, and it moves you into a higher vibration for yourself. For yourself. And then that's what reflects out into the world. Yeah, it's a big one. Refrain from self-judgment. Join me next Tuesday right here for the 4th of the 11 spiritual practices for personal growth. I thank you so much for watching. Enjoy your day, and I send you all my love.